We're still looking at exercise 6.6 homework problems, and the first problem is question 4D. You can see question 4D up there on your screen. Shh. Oh, see. Find 4 consecutive positive integers. So let's just write what our 4 consecutive positive integers will be. N, what's the next one?
1 plus n.
N plus 1 is the second, n plus 2 is the third, n plus 3 is the fourth. So find 4 consecutive positive integers such that the sum of the squares of the second one and the fourth one is 202. The sum of the squares of the second and the fourth. What's the second number?
1 plus n plus 1.
What do I do to it?
N plus 1 squared.
So I go n plus 1 squared plus
N plus 3 squared.
n plus 3 squared equals 202. Okay, girls? So you will expand that. Collect like terms. I actually don't think you end up with a quadratic, you just end up with a linear equation. So they're perfect squares and you need to expand them both. If we continue to solve this now, what do we get? Perfect square. N squared plus 2n, because it's plus 2 times 1, plus 1 plus squared plus 6n plus 9 equals 202. Sorry, we end up with a quadratic. So collect like terms. N squared and n squared is?
2n squared.
What about the n's? Plus 8n plus 10 minus 202 equals 0. Girls, so we've got 2n squared plus 8n minus what?
190.
2 equals 0. Girls, we look at those coefficients, the 2, the 8 and the negative 192, and we notice that they're all even numbers. So you can either factorise a monic quadratic, which I'd prefer to do. What can we do to that to make it easier to factor? Yeah, so divide through by 2, divide the whole thing by 2. You're really dividing left-hand side and right-hand side of equation by 2. So what do you get? N squared plus 4n minus 96. Factors of 96, girls, times tables, 12 eighths. 12 eighths. But which one's which? We know 12 eighths are 96, and we know the difference between 12 and 8 is 4. It's got to be more pluses than minuses. So therefore, n is 8, or n is what? Oh, sorry, girls, I'm off the screen. Therefore, n is 8 or n is 12. Now, can we just stop for a minute? Go back and read the question before you finish off. 4 consecutive positive integers, but n is greater than 0, meaning it's positive. Therefore, n is 8. Girls? So, but n is greater than 0.
So n is 8.
Well, so what are the 4 numbers? Therefore, the 4 positive integers are what? Isn't it n? Isn't it n, n plus 1, n plus 2? What are they? 8, 9, 10, and 11. Remember, the 4 positive integers are n, n plus 1, n plus 2, and n plus 3. Point 6, question 9. Here we can see a parabola, girls. This is called a parabola, or it's a... We haven't learnt about parabolas yet. But if I sketch h equals 80t minus 16t squared, I will get that. Now, you haven't learned how to sketch parabolas yet. Look, if someone threw a ball up in the air, that's the path that it would take. All right, it would start from here, even though he'd be a little bit off the ground, and the ball would follow the shape of it's called a parabolic arch, okay? But girls, if you throw a ball up into the air, that's the shape that it will follow, okay? And what you'll find is that the way up is basically the same as the way down. That's what happens when you throw something up in the air, All right. I mean, ignoring resistance and all that sort of stuff, okay? If it's not a feather. All right, it's got to be something fairly heavy, you know, like a ball or something. Would follow that path, ignoring wind resistance, like air resistance, wind, all that sort of stuff. Okay, girls, so Daniel throws the stone vertically upwards. Obviously, it's not straight up, otherwise the graph would be straight up and, oh, actually, it could be straight up and down, because this is just showing you how the position of the height changes with respect to time. So don't worry about it, all right? Let's just use this. So this graph, we can see it's a quadratic equation, and it is h equals 80t minus 16t squared. Now it says, at what time will the stone be 96 meters above the ground, where h is meters above the ground? So girls, if I take this question and I have my equation, what do you think it's asking me to substitute in part 1? At what times, in other words, time is t, at what time will the height of the stone be 96 meters above the ground? Where do I substitute? Where do I substitute the 96? Into the h. Meters above the ground. Read the question. The height h meters above the ground. T is time. So what do I substitute 96 for? H. So I sub h equals 96, and I get 96 is 80t minus 16t squared. Now what do? I move everything to the left to make the t squared positive. What do I write now?
80t.
Minus 80t. Because I'm taking them plus 96. Yes, I was. Girls, see if 80, if you can divide it by 16, you can, but just check with 96. 32, yeah, it's 6. So girls, all of those numbers can be divided by 16. So we're going to divide through by 16 because it makes it easier to factorize, and you get t squared minus, what's 80 divided by 16?
5.
Plus 6 equals 0.
And now
Yes, 5t plus 6 equals 0. It is. You know that they've both got to be either positives or negatives, but you look at the middle term and it's a minus. Factors of 6 that add up to negative 5 have to be minus 3 and minus 2. Therefore, t equals 2. Sorry, girls, or t equals 3. Now, girls, I'll tell you. Have a look at the graph. Can you see where I'm pointing to the graph here? Girls, let's say height 96 might be here. See how height 96 occurs at 2 different times? Can you see that? I'm not sure where height 96 is exactly, but I'm telling you that the same height occurs twice at every point. Like this point and that point across there are the same height. But at the top, there's only one point at the top. That height only occurs once, but this height here occurs twice.
yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting 2 answers. Girls, if you're throwing a ball 150 meters up into the air, even though no one could probably throw it that high, let's say 100 meters up into the air, it's going to pass the 96 meter mark on the way up and on the way down. Does that make sense? That's why there are 2 times. So girls, the answer is at 2 seconds and 3 seconds. Part B says, after how many seconds? Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, there is. It's going to be that.
No questions, because this question 6.
All right, in a minute. All right, we'll look at it in a minute. After how many seconds will the stone hit the ground? Tell me about something. So they're asking for time. They're asking about time. If they're asking about time, you need to put in something about height. Tell me at ground level, what's the height? So at ground level, h equals 0. So what do we substitute? I substitute h equals 0. I don't know. So we go 0 is that. Now what do? Girls, do you get this? So you have to read the problem. It's very much like physics, right? You've got to read the problem and make a substitution. Here's your formula, girls. You're only going to substitute one thing or the other. You're either going to substitute H or T. They're asking after how many seconds, so they're asking you about time. You have to substitute H. All right? So what do we do now, girls? Let's take it all to the other side. 16t squared minus 80t. What can I take out as a common factor? And the 16. So 16 bracket t minus, it's 5 equals, sorry, it's 16t bracket t minus 5 equals 0. Therefore, girls, I've got two answers. What have I got? 16t is 0 or t minus 5 is 0. Therefore, t is 0 or t is 5 because 0 over 16 is 0.
Yeah.
So, girls, I've got two times where the rock is at ground. Tell me, which answer do I use? T equals 0 or t equals 5? What do you think the t equals 0 answer is? Where it starts. So, girls, it starts at t is 0. So when is the height 0? At t is 0, the height 0, but height is 0 at t equals 5. So girls, in other words, how long does this ball stay in the air for? 5 seconds. Girls, parabolas are symmetrical. So if I'm telling you parabolas are symmetrical, tell me how long it takes to reach the top. If it takes 5 seconds to go up and down, 2.5 seconds is the top point, and we'll be doing this in our next topic. You'll learn about that. Can the stone ever reach a height of 128 metres? Well, what would you substitute? Height is 128. So let's try that. Oh, just a few, 5 lines. So, so for part C, will it ever reach a height of 128? So H is 128. We know that the formula is H equals 80t minus 16t squared. We put in 128.
Equals 80t minus 16t.
What do we do now, girls? We take everything over to the left.
Yeah. And they can all be divided by 16 again.
Can you divide?
Yep.
All right, apparently they can all be divided by 16 again.
It's 8.
And we get t squared minus 5t plus 8. Now, girls, I cannot think of factors of 8 that add up to 5, negative 5. What are the factors of 8? 8 and 1? 4 and 2? No, girls, you could try the quadratic formula. So if you can't factorize it, let's try the quadratic formula. It means the answer could be a third, but let's just see what we get. T equals negative b. Why am I putting t equals negative b instead of x? Because where you normally have an x, you have a t. So we get t equals what? Negative 5, positive 5, plus or minus the square root of. What's negative 5 squared? Minus 4 times 1 times, what's c?
8.
Over 2 times?
1.
Now, that's 5 plus or minus the square root of. What do I get there?
Move it down.
All right. What do I get?
Negative 7.
All right, I'll move the question away.
I got negative 7.
Yeah, it is. And what does that tell you? No solution. Why? Because you cannot find the square root of a negative number. So therefore, can the stone ever reach a height of 128? No. Yes. Third is a normal 7 is okay. It just means it won't be at a whole number time, like a whole number of seconds. It might be at 3.25 seconds if you work out what the square root. Yes. The only time that the stone can never reach a height of 128 is if it's if you've got that negative under the square root sign and there's no solution. Actually, girls, I'm going to take this question one step further. So therefore, stone cannot reach a height of 128 centimetres or metres. Girls, I want you to tell me what is the maximum height that it can reach. I told you earlier that it's symmetrical, and if it takes 5 seconds for the whole ball to go up and down, girls, shh, girls, we're doing this in the next topic, but I thought I'd mention it now. If it takes, yes, good. Girls, if it takes 5 seconds for the ball to travel from there to there, and I told you this graph is symmetrical, then it takes 2.5 seconds to get to the top. So, girls, what you should find, if we look at question C, and the ball can never reach a height of 128, if I say to you, part D, this is a new question, find the maximum height of the ball or whatever it is, of the stone, do you think the answer is going to be less than or greater than 128? Yeah, it's got to be, because the stone can never reach 128. So find the maximum height of the stone. You'll go T equals 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5 seconds. So it reaches that maximum height at 2.5 seconds because the graph is symmetrical. So we're going to substitute time equals 2.5 into your equation. Yeah, so you'll substitute time is 2.5 seconds into the equation. Girls, it's really important that you listen to this because we will do this again in the next topic, but we may as well just do it now and we'll do it again later. It's good if you see it twice. So we put 2.5 into the equation. And what do we get? Well, 8 times 2.5 is 200, and 16 times 2.5, 16 times 6.25. What do you get? Oh, yep, okay, that's good. So if you're getting the maximum height of the stone is 100, doesn't it make sense that the stone could never reach 128? So it makes part C make sense. Do you get it? So that's good. So that puts, Now, rectangular swimming pool is 14 metres long and 6 metres wide. It is surrounded by a pebble path of uniform width x metres. If the area of the path, now that's the white bit, is 96 metres, find the width of the path. Now, I want you to draw that into your book. I don't think you need to do the writing. Good idea to copy this into your books and write the dimensions of the larger rectangle. So this dimension here is 6 plus x, which is 6 plus 2x, and the length is 14 plus this x and that other x, which is 14 plus 2x. Now here's the shaded bit in the middle, but you want the path around the pool. So how do we do the area of the path, girls? Girls, the area of the path is what? They've told us it's 96, but how do I work it out as a formula? Isn't the area of the path, girls, I want to know in terms of rectangles. Big rectangle minus, so big rectangle is 14 plus 2x times 6 plus 2x minus small rectangle is 14 times 6. Ladies. So therefore, we've got, I'm going to move the question out of the way now, girls. Yeah. So therefore, girls, you just work that all out. So 96 is equal to, so expand this bracket, what's 14 times 6? 84 plus 14 times 2x? 28x plus 2x times 12x plus, so we've gone 14 times 6, 14 times 2x, 2x times 6, 2x times 2x is 4x squared minus, we know 14 times 6 is 84, so take that away. So we've got 96 is equal to what? Girls, 84 minus 84 goes? What have you got? Like terms. What have you got? 4x squared plus 40x. What should we do with all this now? Take it, yeah, move the 96, good. So we've got 4x squared plus 40x, what? Equals 0. Now, we don't want 4x squared if possible. And girls, if 100 divided by 4 is 25, what's 96 divided by 4? 24. So this would be x squared plus, we're dividing through by 4.
Plus 10x minus
24. Factors of 24 that add up to 10?
12.
Yeah, it must be 12 and 2.
And it's
More 12s than 2s.
minus 12.
So we're going okay with this, girls? So therefore, girls, just remember, x can't be negative. X cannot be negative. Therefore, x equals negative 12 or x equals 2, but that's negative 12. Negative 12 plus 12. Girls,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
that must be, so girls, you write x plus 12 is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. You just look at it and you say x has got to be 2 or negative 12. So, but x is greater than 0 as it is a length. And so we get what?
Therefore, x is 2.
Therefore, x is 2. What was the question? If the area of the path, the width of the path, yeah, that's the width of the path. That's x. Width of path is 2 meters. Makes sense? It's about right.
Is this hard?
4, 5?
In that exam,
It's not that hard, but
yes.
it's...
Just in the exam, are you going to put them
All we're going to do is break this up so that you can find area. Shh. So girls, how? There's a few ways of doing this. You can either put the breaks down here, like the dividing lines down there, which is okay. I'm going to put the dividing line down here. Now I need the area.
Miss, why don't you figure out the overall?
I can do it 2 ways. There's 2 ways of doing it. Oh yeah, we can do the overall, but what are you going to take away?
And then you can make an equation for the smaller box like
You can do that, so that's 3 ways now of doing it. You can either do that and that plus this one, or you could have put the lines across and done this, that, and that bit, or you can do the whole square, rectangle, minus the bit in the middle. What do you want to go with? Sum of the areas of 2 circles is 106 pi centimeters squared, and the radius of the larger circle is 4 centimeters longer than the radius of the smaller circle. Find the lengths of the radii by going R. Tell me what you want to write on the other circle. The radius of the larger circle is 4 centimeters longer than the radius of the smaller circle.
4 plus R.
Good. Shh. Great. Excellent. Girls, the sum of the areas of 2 circles. What formula should I write down? What's the formula for the area of a circle? Area equals? So the area of this circle is pi r squared. What's the area of this circle? Pi? What's its r? Pi times r plus 4 squared. Shh. Now, girls, when you do this question, do not go and put pi into your calculator. Now, what should I do? Let's read the question again. So, girls, you know, drawing really helps with this question. The sum of the areas of 2 circles is that the radius of the largest circle is 4 centimeters longer than the radius of the smaller one. As you've said, Pi r squared plus pi times r plus 4 squared is what? What do you think? You know how when we set up all our equations and we see something and we want to get rid of, like, let's say we sometimes divide by 2. What do you think you could divide by here? See how pi is just a number, 3.14 or whatever it is? I can divide everything by pi. Why? They've all got one. Divide through by pi. And what do I get? R squared plus r plus 4 squared equals 106. And I know you know what to do now. Okay, girls, I'm not doing any more. Question 11. We're talking about question 14. What I would like... Question 14, it says ABC, triangle ABC is similar to triangle ADE. Can you tell me which angles you think are equal? All right, A is the same as A. Good. Which other angles are equal on this diagram? What about this angle? What does it equal? The one at D. Good. So I'll put crosses. Now, I've drawn them separately. So we know A is common, and this angle at B equals that angle at D. I've drawn the two triangles separately because whenever you have similar triangles and one triangle overlaps the other, you need to draw them separately. You've already done something like this. So if that's X, I'm just putting in all the side lengths. What would the other one be? What's AD? That's X plus 6, and this one is X plus 13. And now, girls, I'm only setting this up. You're going to finish it for homework. So, girls, similar. You'd have to identify where the same angles are. Draw them separately, as we have here. Write the side lengths on each, whatever you've got. Now, how do we set it up? What matches with X? So X over, so that's dot cross. What's it match with? X over X plus 6 equals, what does 12 match with? 12 over, now, girls, how do you solve that? I'll just do the cross multiply because it's fraction equals fraction. So you go X times, do you know what to do? X times X plus 13 equals 12 times X plus 6. I'm not doing any more. You will expand it. Take everything to the left. Put it equal to 0. Factorize and solve. Wait a minute. Is X positive? X is a length. It has to be positive. If you've got a negative answer, you need to ignore the negative answer and only take the positive answer. Girls, 15 in exercise 6.6. The sum of a number and its reciprocal is 2 9/10. Let the number be X. The reciprocal of a number is 1 over the number. So X plus 1 on X is 2 9/10. Changing this to an improper fraction, X plus 1 on X is 29 on 10. The X wasn't there. We wish the 10 wasn't there. Get rid of the divide by 10. Get rid of the divide by X. Opposite of dividing by 10 and dividing by X is timesing by 10X. So you're going to multiply through everything by 10X. Now, multiply this one by 10X. What do you get? 10X times X is?
10X squared.
Multiply this one by 10X. You get 10X. What? Over? Because, girls, 1 times 10X is 10X and it's over X. Girls, and then this times 10X. Girls, if you're finding that hard, this is what you can do. Girls, because when you times by 10X, you're timesing by 10X over 1. I'll do this again. So, it's X times 10X. Are you okay with that? Plus 1 over X times 10X. Equals 29 over 10 times 10X. Girls, if you don't get how to do it straight away, I suggest you go back and show every step like this. So I'm timesing that by 10X, that by 10X, and that by 10X. The reason is we're timesing both the left-hand side and the right-hand side by 10x. And there are two things on... Wait. Now, what do you get? X times 10x. What do you get? 10x squared. What happens with this x and that x?
You get 10x over it.
And they cancel. Excuse me, ladies. The idea of multiplying through by 10x is to lose the denominators completely. So, that's 10x over 1. When you're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, consider the whole number as itself over 1. This x down here cancels with that one, and I get 10. And what cancels here, girls? Girls, when you're multiplying fractions, the 10s cancel, giving you 1s. And what do you get? 29x. So do you know what to do now? Take everything to the left. Now, you'll have to factorize that yourself. Girls, girls, looking at question 16, it says, now 17 will be done the same way. So if I do 16, you'll be able to do 17, but you'll need to draw a diagram. It says the perimeter of that rectangle there is 22 centimetres and the area is 28 centimetres squared. You have to show that y equals 11 minus x and that x squared minus 11x plus 28 is 0. How do you do it? Given this and that bit of information, start setting up, set me up a perimeter equation, please. What plus what plus what plus what equals what? X plus, charger, x plus y equals 22. Got it? Yep, look in there. Oh God, this is. So, 2x plus 2y equals 22. Now what can you do with that?
You can
Divide through by?
x plus y equals 11.
X plus y equals 11. Good. And they're saying show that y equals 11 minus x. What do I just do now? Y equals 11 minus x. Girls, it's not hard. First one done. Next one.
Was that 16A or B?
We're halfway through A. Part B. What do you think we should do now? A similar one for area. Ladies, I think you need to be quiet.
We have 1 minute.
On the video. Great. Set up another equation for area. So that was our perimeter statement. See, this was all to do with perimeter. That's easier. Now tell me about area. Go.
X times y.
X times y is 28. Girls, look at what they're asking you. Can you see any y's in that?
No.
So what do you think you replace this y with? X times 11 minus x equals 28. Girls, so all I did was substitute. I get 11x minus x squared equals 28. And make it all positive. Move it to the other side. X squared minus 11x plus 28 is 0. Girls, in the next part, you solve. You just solve that. Solve that for part B.
Alrighty, thank you.
Now, shh. Girls, question 17 is the same.
I'll watch the video.
Question 18 is a bit different. Good luck.